Identity Access Management, Part 5. CyberArk. What is CyberArk? CyberArk is a leading privileged access management platform designed to secure, manage, and monitor privileged accounts and credentials in enterprise environments. These privileged accounts, like system administrators, root users, service accounts, and domain admins, have broad or unlimited access to systems and data, making them prime target for attackers. Think of CyberArk as a digital vault and control tower that logs down sensitive access, tracks every move, and blocks misuse of powerful credentials. Now, in this case, what's a privileged access? Well, privileged access refers to elevated rights or permissions that allow users or systems to install or configure softwares, access critical infrastructure, modify security settings, bypass access controls. CyberArk manages, secures, rotates, and monitors these elevated accounts. Key capabilities. Well, it stores password and SSH keys in an encrypted digital vault. It automatically changes password after use or at set intervals. It monitors and records privileged users' sessions. It grants temporary privileged access with approvals. It limits users to only what they need using Endpoint Privilege Manager. It uses analytics to detect suspicious privileged activities. It integrates with ITSM, DevOps, IAM, and SIEM tools, and it supports periodic access reviews for privileged accounts. Example. Well, an IT admin needs to log into a critical production server. Instead of using a saved root password, they request access via CyberArk. CyberArk grants access without revealing the password. The session is recorded and monitored. The password is automatically rotated after the session ends. What are the different components? Well, it has CyberArk Vault, which helps in securing storage for privileged credentials. It has Privileged Vault Web Access, which is a web portal for access request and approval. It has Privileged Session Manager, which is a secure gateway for session recording and control. It has Privileged Threat Analytics, which is a real time threat detection for privileged misuse. It also has Central Policy Manager, which manages and enforces password policies. It has Endpoint Privilege Manager, which controls local admin rights on endpoints and servers. And it has Conjure, which manages secret and credentials for in DevOps pipelines. So the benefits of CyberArk. Well, it helps securing and controlling access to privileged accounts. All privileged actions are logged, reviewed, and traceable. It supports SOX, GDPR, ISO 27001, DPDP, and NIST frameworks. Through automation, policy enforcement, and alert, it helps improve operational security. It supports zero trust strategies and security automation by integrating IAM and SIEM. What's common integration with CyberArk? Well, it integrates well with Active Directory, Microsoft Entra ID, ServiceNow, which is the ITSM workflow, SIEM tools like Splunk, QRadar, DevOps pipelines, SailPoint, or Savient for governance. It also has a good integration with Azure, AWS, GCP for cloud workload. What are the challenges to be considered here? Well, it needs good planning for vaulting and role definitions. Admin and developers may need initial onboarding. It can be high for large scale deployments when it comes to cost. The rotating schedule, session monitoring, and policy updates requires ongoing tuning. That's it has requires continuous monitoring and work. In summary, CyberArk is the gold standard for privileged access management, designed to lock down high risk access, prevent credential theft, and enable compliance across hybrid and cloud infrastructure. Let's have a comparative table. Primary function of Entra, it's cloud IAM and access management, and so on, which we discussed. When it comes to CyberArk, it is privileged access management. Deployment model of CyberArk, cloud, on-prem or hybrid. It's best for securing and monitoring privileged accounts. Key capabilities, well, vaulting, session monitoring, just-in-time access, and password rotation. Similarly, when compared to other tools, that's a reference on the screen. You can take a pause, screenshot, and use this in any report or presentation that you would like to have. As we move from an MFA support perspective, CyberArk is used for privileged accounts. SSO is limited, not core feature. From an identity governance perspective, it's limited, can integrate with SailPoint or Savient. From a risk-based access, well, privileged threat analytics can be performed. AI ML insight, well, it has moderate. Integration breadth, well, strong for DevOps, servers, and database. Strength, leader in privileged access security. Integration technology. You have SAML, OAuth 2.0, OpenID Connect, SCIM, which is System for Cross-Domain Identity Management, and REST APIs and connectors for provisioning. So, what are integration technologies? Well, SAML is Security Assertion Markup Language used for enterprise SSOs, especially the legacy one. OAuth is Authorization Framework. It's used for granting access to APIs and resources. OpenID Connect, well, it's identity layer built on top of Auth 2.0, used for user authentication. Let's look at SAML. Security Assertion Markup Language. It allows user to log in once and access multiple systems like an SSO. Uses XML based assertion to pass identity from an identity provider to a service provider. It uses tiers. Users tries to access a service. When a user tries to access a service, whether it's HR portal, it redirects to the identity provider. An identity provider authenticates the user, sends an XML assertion to the service provider, and the service provider grants the access. Well, older enterprise like web apps or intranet and employee portal uses SAML. It's pro proven and mature, works well for enterprise SSO. Con XML based and not ideal for mobile or modern apps. That's the con. When you come to OAuth 2.0, it enables secure delegated access without sharing passwords. The user grant access to a third party app to use their data. User authorizes a third party app to access their Google Drive. This is how it starts from a workflow perspective. OAuth sends an access token to third party app. The token is used to retrieve data from Google without exposing the user's credentials. Use cases used in mobile apps, API access, third party integration. It is secure and widely adopted. It's token based and it's lightweight and scalable. But it does not provide identity info by itself. It needs OIDC to add authentication. Let's look at OIDC or OpenID Connect. Well, it adds authentication when you are who you are on top of Auth 2 authentication. Do you remember the difference here? It enables delegated access and the user grants access to a third party app. That's Auth. In here, it adds authentication. It returns an ID token with user info in addition to access token. In this case, user logs in using a provider. OIDC authenticates and provides access token and ID token. Use case, it is used in modern web and mobile app login or social login. Example, sign in with Google. Pros, it's lightweight and it's designed for mobile and cloud app. It's newer than SAML, may not be supported in legacy environment. Summary. Protocol used in SAML is authentication. OAuth is authorization. OpenID is authentication and authorization. Data format is XML for SAML, JSON for OAuth, and JSON for OpenID. From a mobile and cloud friendly perspective, that it's limited in SAML and its OAuth and OpenID are friendly to cloud and mobile. The token type in SAML is SAML assertion, OAuth is access token, and OpenID is access token plus ID token. Common use case for SAML is enterprise SSO, OAuth is API access, and OpenID is cloud and mobile login and SSO. SCIM. SCIM stands for System for Cross Domain Identity Management. It's an open standard protocol designed to automate the exchange of user identity data between identity provider and applications. Think of SCIM as the identity plumbing that keeps user account, roles, and attributes in sync across systems. SCIM automatically manages user identity and access rights across systems by handling provisioning, that's by creating user accounts and apps, deprovisioning by disabling or deleting accounts, attribute updates by syncing profile changes, group membership, which is assigning, removing users from group or roles. So that's SCIM. Why is SCIM important? Well, without SCIM, IT team must manually create or update account across many systems, or users may retain access after leaving, leading to security risk, or compliance and audit requirements are harder to meet. That's without SCIM. With SCIM, accounts and permissions are provisioned automatically. Lifecycle change with the joiner, mover, lever are synced in real time. Risk of orphaned or stale account is reduced. Auditor can trace and verify identity changes. How it works? Well, HR or IAM system detects a new employee. It sends an SAIM request to target systems, whether it's ServiceNow or GitHubs. Those systems create an account with the specific attributes. And when the user moves or leaves, another SAIM request updates or deletes the account. SAIM use standard REST API and JSON to send this update securely. So what are the components? Well, in SAIM we have client, server, resource and operations. Client, it initiates the request. Server receives and processes the request. Resources are objects like user, group, roles. Operation would be get, post, patch, delete for identity data. Use cases, it is used in provisioning, it is used in offboarding, role updates and entitlements. Benefits, well, it reduces manual effort and errors. Accounts are created or removed instantly. It helps avoid over provisioning and access creeps. It ensures audit trails and least privileges. It works across vendor with consistent API behavior. Limitations, not all vendors support SCIM. It needs endpoint setups. It may require custom mapping. It needs governance. SCIM doesn't replace access review or policy decisions. In summary, SCIM automates and standardizes how user identity and access rights are created, updated, and removed across app, improving efficiency and compliance. Next, REST APIs and connectors. What are those? Well, in identity provisioning, REST APIs and connectors are tools and mechanisms used to automate the creation, updation, and removal of user accounts and access right across multiple systems. So, REST API is a lightweight way for one system to talk to another over the internet using standard commands like get, post, patch, delete. That's a lightweight way for one system to talk to each other. Connectors, it's a pre-built integration module. It's a pre-built that knows how to communicate with specific targets like AD, Salesforce or ServiceNow for provisioning tasks. So both are needed. So one is for system to talk to another over internet. The second one is to communicate with specific targets. So what's provisioning? Well, provisioning means automatically creating or managing a user account and access in a system based on their role, department, or business needs. Example includes creating a new employee account in Zoom, SAP, or AD, or updating access when they change department, or removing access when they leave the organization. So that's provisioning. That's creating or managing. Yeah. Now let's look at REST APIs, how they help the provisioning. Well, REST APIs allow your IAM tool, whether it is SailPoint, Okta or Entra ID, to send command to other application. When a new employee joins, IAM tool sends a post request via REST API to ServiceNow. So REST API is a media which allows you to send commands. The command is triggered by SailPoint, Okta, Entra ID maybe, but REST API is a medium through which it is done. The body includes employee name, department, and role. ServiceNow automatically creates the account. When they leave, a delete request removes the access. What's post? It's create the account. Get, retrieve the user detail. Patch, update specific field, delete, deactivate or remove account. So these are common API operation using REST API. Now connectors. Well, a connector is like a plugin or an adapter that knows the exact schema, security requirement, and logic for a target system. For example, a SailPoint connector for Microsoft 365 knows what attributes are needed, email, UPN, role, etc., or how to map user role to Microsoft licenses, or how to handle deactivation and audit logs. Example of target systems IAM connection works with Active Directory for creating, deleting users or assigning to groups. That's a connector function. For Azure, it provisions cloud account and MFS settings. For Salesforce, it assigns roles, deactivate users. For Workday, read user record as source of truth, so on and so forth. So, the connector is like a plug-in adapter that understands the schema and security requirement of the target systems. So what's REST API? Why REST API and connectors matter? Well, it helps eliminate manual effort and delays. It supports thousands of users and apps. It ensures least privilege and timely deactivation. It applies provisioning logic the same way every time. It tracks who got access to what, when, and how. Consideration when using REST APIs and connector. Well, APIs should use tokens, OAuth, or secure headers from a security perspective. Fields in IAM and the app must match correctly. So hence, you need to be careful before you implement this. A retry logic is important if provisioning fails. Logs and dashboard help track failure or delays, and not all systems offer full API, SCIM, and connector support. So do look at the notes before you think of implementing this, using this for implementation purpose. Hence, REST API and connectors enable IAM system to communicate with business application and infrastructure platform to automate user lifecycle events, provisioning the right access to right user at the right time. Let's now look at a comparison or how the integration matrix works. I'll pause here, you can look at the screen. You know how it works or what's required. This integration matrix is important when you choose for your implementation. So when you look at from a comparison perspective, if I we discussed the REST earlier, so now for this conversation, let's look at the REST APIs and connectors. Purpose: it's system specific integration and automation. Primary use case is custom provisioning and access sync. Protocol type is integration mechanism. Format is JSON and XML. Transport method is REST or HTTP. Commonly used as for custom apps, HRMS, ITMS, or legacy systems. Let's now look at the IAM lifecycle and workflow. Identity lifecycle stages starts with onboarding, wherein identities are created and accesses are provisioned. Then it's movement, which is role change, temporary access request, etc. And next is offboarding process, which is deactivation or access revocation. So what is onboarding? Well, onboarding refers to the process of setting up a new user is employee, contractor, or partners with the right identity and access to tools, systems, and applications so they can start working securely and productively from day one. What are the key stages of onboarding? Starts with identity creation. Well, this step is about creating a unique digital identity for the new user in the organization's identity system. It could be Entra, Okta, SailPoint, etc. Common activities include generating a user ID or email address, or assigning a unique identifier, that's employee number example. Capture user attribute, could be name, title, department, location, manager, and sync user records for HRMS to IAM systems. In this, the tools would involve is HR systems and IAM platforms. Do note, this could be via this conversation, this engagement could be via SCIM or API. The next is your identity repository, which is the Active Directory, LDAP, or cloud directories. Next is access provision. This step is about assigning the correct access rights to the new user based on their job roles, locations, or department, following the principle of least privilege. The access type is system access, application access, shared resources, cloud platforms. What are the methods used for provisioning? It could be role based, rule based, manual, or automated. When you say role based, it's access tied to predefined job roles. Rule, it's granted based on policies. Manual is admin change, assign changes or access, and automated is triggered by SCIM or API calls. Let's see how security and compliance integration works. Well, during onboarding, security measures as shown will be required to be enforced. That is, MFA is enabled at first login, welcome kit or password resets sent securely, active monitorings are initiated, and audit trails logged. Who onboarded, when, what access was granted, etc. So that's how the security and the compliance integration works in this. Now, benefits of onboarding. Well, first is speed. It reduces the wait time and improves productivity. Accuracy, it prevents access error or delays. From a security perspective, it applies least privilege and MFA immediately. From a compliance perspective, it ensures audit ready access assignment. From a scalability perspective, it supports growth without manual overhead. So, how does it work in new employee onboarding? Well, HR adds employee to Workday example. Workday pushes user data to IAM, could be SailPoint. IAM creates identity in Active Directory, assigns roles and entitlement, sends provisioning requests via SCIM or REST API to Microsoft 365 or Salesforce, ServiceNow for different purpose, and user gets welcome email and MF prompt. Now you see how the story flows. How does it work? How does IAM, SailPoint, SCIM, REST API work together to onboard a new employee? I hope now the picture is clearer as to use the purpose why we discuss SCIM, REST APIs, MFAs, IAM, SailPoints. So this is the objective. So now let's look at a checklist. It starts off from HR system entry. It is HR enters new employee data into Workday. IAM tool creates a unique user identity. IAM tool could be SailPoint or Enter ID. It validates name, role, department, and manager field. It assigns role based access. It provisions access to core systems. It creates email IDs in Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace. It registers users for multi factor authentication. It provisions application access via SCIM or API. It sets up secure access to corporate networks, could be Wi Fi or VPN. It allocates laptop, mobile, and performs security hardening. It sends digital policy documents and collect acceptance record. Sends welcome email with login instructions, support contacts, logs all onboarding steps in audit system for traceability. Notifies reporting manager that the onboarding is completed and confirms that all access has been verified and approved. So this is the top level 15 steps in IT onboarding. Do review this checklist, see whether this is how it works for you or there are additional steps that you need to follow for your organization. If so, record it. If not, check against these and see which are the ones which you might not be having as part of the sequence of event to onboard. You can use this as a base reference. You can tweak and tune based on your own personal organization's requirement, align it accordingly. So, what is movement in identity management? Well, movement refers to changes in an employee status, its role, or responsibilities after onboarding, triggering the need to update or adjust access to systems, application, and data. It covers role change, location change, project assignment, and temporary access needs. Typical movement scenario could be promotions or role change or department transfer or location changes or project assignment, temporarily joining a cross functional team or filling in for a manager on leave or a consultant gets a renewed or another 3 months of extension, contract extension, or user need access to a lab or sandbox temporarily. These are the typical movement scenarios. So why is movement critical in IAM? Well, it ensures users have only the access they need, nothing more, nothing less. It supports least privilege and zero trust principles. It keeps organizations compliant with internal and external regulations. It reduces access creeps. User retains access from old roles, remember that. We don't want that. So it has to be ensured that no scope creeps are there. The next key components of movement handling, well, triggering events. This comes from HRM or manager's request, example role change, new projects. Role re-evaluation, which is about IAM system re-evaluates the user's new context, adjust entitlements accordingly, add or removes access. Next is next component is temporary access request. Important. It's time bound access for specific tasks or projects, often approved via workflow and logged for audits. Next component is approval workflow, wherein access changes go through manager or data owner approval. Next is provisioning or deprovisioning, wherein changes are pushed to application via SCIM or REST APIs or connectors. Logging and audit, well, all changes are logged, including who approved, what change, and for how long. Hope this perspective, this top view on the key components of movement handling are understood. It might look simple when we just speak about movement handling, but when you understand it in detail, you understand there are various aspects, in this case, 6. Let's look at workflow for a role change. Well, HR updates employee record, example promoted to team lead example. IAM tool receives updates from HRM. IAM removes previous access. It assigns new access. Then manager approves elevated access. Audit trail is created and alerts are sent and user is notified of the changes. Now workflow for temporary access request. Well, employer requests temporary access to finance database. Request is routed through IAM approval workflow. Data owner or manager reviews and approves. Access is granted with an expiration date. IAM automatically revokes access after expiry. It logs or are stored or compliance. That's for future review and any audit requirement. Hope this workflow is understood. Let's look at some of the best practices in this space. Automate detection of movement. Yes, it ensures timely update to access. User role-based access models. Uses role-based access model. Helps simplifies permission assignment. Helps implement approval workflow. It prevents unauthorized privilege elevation. It applies time-bound policies, helping control temporary access windows, and audit changes regularly, help maintaining least privileges. In summary, movement in IAM ensures user access adapts to their evolving role automatically, securely, and with full audit visibility. It's a key lifecycle event for enforcing least privilege and preventing access risk. Let's look at a checklist how to handle related to handling role change and temporary access request. The first starts with detect changes from HRM or manual reported movements. Then it ensures the change is verified from a trusted system or person. It starts the IAM workflow in SailPoint, Enter ID, or similar tools. It reviews the user's new role, department, location, and access need. D provisions access tied to the old role to prevent access creeps. Assign access relevant to the new role using role based models. If temporary access is needed, log the justification and scope. Sends request to appropriate approver for validation. It enforces auto expiry policy or any short term access granted. Sends email or dashboard updates to inform user of changes. Ensure all modifications are logged with timestamp and actors. Add users to next quarterly annual review for access validation. Flag and escalate access conflict or unusual request. And marks the process as complete in the service desk or IAM platform. Hope this checklist helps with your own. Next is offboarding in IAM. Offboarding refers to the formal process of removing access rights and disabling user accounts when an individual leaves the organization, whether they are an employee, contractor, intern, or partner. The goal is to ensure that no former user retain access to any corporate systems, application, or data after their departure, thereby preventing security risk, data breaches, and compliance violations. Let's look at key component of offboarding. It starts with deactivation of identity. The user's primary entity record is disabled in Active Directory and other tools if whatever is applicable for your system. Then IAM platform like Okata, SailPoint, or IBM Verify. Then it is user can no longer authenticate to the system. So after disabling in all the other systems where it's applicable, user can no longer authenticate. Then we move to step 2, where is access revocation. All entitlements, group membership, and roles are revoked. Provisioned access in systems like Microsoft 365, AWS, CRM, all of these, the file shares and collaboration tools, licenses are released for reallocation. Then we reach step 3, session termination. Active sessions are forcefully logged out. VPN tokens or mobile device access is cut off. Password and API keys are rotated, especially for privileged or DevOps account. Then we hit step 4, where asset collection and device are deregistered. Laptop, phone, ID card, hardware token, USBs are collected. Mobile device management or MDM removes company data remotely. Certificate and digital signatures are revoked. Then we hit step 5, notification and login. IM team manager, HR and securities are notified. A detailed audit trail is recorded, which includes who removed the access, what was revoked, when it occurred. Then we hit step 6, which is backup and data ownership transition. Ownership of email, file, or project is transferred. Data is archived, exported, or reassigned to the manager or the team. Why offboarding is critical? From a security perspective, it avoids insider threat or account abuse. From a compliance perspective, it meets SOX, ISO 27000, DPDP, GDPR, etc. From operational clarity perspective, it ensures smooth handover and no disruptions. From a license optimization perspective, it frees up software licenses and resources. So, how offboarding is typically triggered? Well, from HRM systems, we can send termination events in IAM tool, or manager submits exit request. Action is taken by service desk or IAM workflow initiated, or contractor term expires. Pre-scheduled or auto expiries are used. Key components of offboarding. It starts wherein HR terminates users in Workday. Example: IAM platform detects change, identity is disabled and deprovisioned, access is revoked across all connected systems, devices are collected or wiped, logs and reports are generated for compliances, and exit checklist is marked completed by IT. Best practice for secure offboarding. Well, automate the offboarding workflow, ensuring no manual gaps. Maintain offboarding checklist. Cover licenses, app, token. Revoke all type of access, whether it is SSO, VPN, API key, shared drives. Set end date for temporary users. This helps to prevent orphaned accounts. Transfer ownership of data, which is avoid lost or inaccessible project works. Conduct post offboarding audit. Ensure all revocation steps are followed. In summary, offboarding is a critical control in identity governance. It ensures that users who leave the organization lose all access quickly, securely, and traceably. If you look at from a checklist perspective, well, HRM updates status or sends termination signal to IAM. IAM tool disables user account in central directory. Deprovisions access from SaaS or on-prem apps and cloud platforms. Removes user from AD groups, security roles and entitlements. Ends all user sessions and active tokens, whether it is SSO, browser, VPN access. Disables access to VPN, remote desktops or Citric environment. Collects laptop, phone, ID card, hardware token, etc. Remotely wipes out data from BYOD or corporate mobile devices. Revokes access to Outlook, Teams, Zoom, and shared folders. And migrates file, calendar, and mailbox to manager or successor. It revokes digital signature, SSH keys, and service tokens. It removes users from any license management tool to free the seats. Informs IT, security, HR, and team leads for offboarding steps. It logs every step taken in IAM platform or audit systems, and it confirms completion of all actions with authorized personals. I hope this checklist helps. Let's look at a comparative table outlining the key aspects of onboarding moment, offboarding stages in a life cycle. When it definition perspective, onboarding is create the initial user identity and access, moment is changing roles, and offboarding is the final phase of revoking access. I'll pause, look at the screen. We discussed all of this in summary. You can use this table to check against your own process and check which part you need to add on, or if there are any additional steps that you already follow due to the nature of your business. That's good. You can use this as a base reference. Pausing here, let's review what has been done till now as part from part 1 to part 5. So with this we conclude part 5 and we move to part 6. If you think that this has added value, do share and subscribe. Do share it with people who you think can benefit from this. Do help them also grow. This is your host Savit Vittal Salian. See you in part 6.